Ho, ho, ho! Happy holidays. This is Shad Dales, host of the TDR Trade to Black podcast here on the Benzinga Television Network. Thanks for checking in. Last podcast for 2023 as we take a hiatus next week during the holiday season. But what a year it's been for this industry. Q4, obviously, one of the big highlights, the HHS announcement and how we've had this major resurgence and interest within this industry. So looking back, we'll have some discussions here in the podcast, what we think of 2023, predictions for 2024, and who's some of the people we plan to bring on here today. The chairman of TerrAscend, Jason Wild, will join us and give us some insight on what he thought the year was that we just had and what we can expect upcoming as well. Joe Biden, some interesting news. He pardoned certain marijuana offenses. What's up with that? Well, we'll dive into it and find out what that is as we welcome in for the final time in 2023, TDR lead financial writer Benjamin A. Smith and TDR millennial entrepreneur Anthony Varrell. Happy holidays, gents. Getting all set for Christmas?
I did. I am. It's a double whammy for me. It's Christmas and it's my wife's birthday on the 25th. So it's I get hit twice.
Ben, judging by that T-shirt, she looks kind of halfway folded over. It's like you're crawling to the finish line. A lot of work done this year, right?
Yeah, I didn't get the iron out for this one, but things are busy right now. And although my wife's birthday is not on the 25th like Anthony's, it's on the 30th of December. So,
oh wow, so you guys got some busy times hitting the checkbook not once but twice over the next 10 days.
Yeah. So please supersize the Christmas bonus this year because I got gifts to buy for everyone.
Good stuff. And we got some interesting stuff here today. We've got Jason Wild coming on momentarily with us as well. Our YouTube viewer, Guap's going to be joining us. We finally get a face to the name. We actually talked to him behind the scenes. He's got a wealth of knowledge towards the industry. So I think a lot of you people that have been following our podcast know who Guap is. And yeah, great guy. Got a lot to offer. So let's jump into it. As usual, segment one, Into the Wire, basically outlining some of the biggest headlines in the cannabis, psychedelics, crypto, and AI spaces. We'll begin with cannabis. Like I said, off the top, news out of Washington involving President Joe Biden, who issued pardons for certain marijuana offenses. Ben, give us the latest on details. What's involved in all this? This is interesting.
Yeah, President Biden made a proclamation. He decided to pardon thousands of people who are convicted of marijuana-related offenses, mostly misdemeanors and so forth, on federal lands in the District of Columbia. So he's done something similar in the past, and some people may not think that this is a huge deal, and perhaps it isn't. But when the president gets involved in doing these sort of measures, it's just a very strong reminder of the normalization within the industry going forward. So it's good to see. Doesn't necessarily affect MSOs as an industry per se, but it does show the normalization is apace, and that the top leader of the country, the head and chief, is at least pardoning and doing some remedies for some misdemeanors that should never be on the books, really.
What do you think on this announcement?
It's great. It's just more incremental. It's adding to the conversation. He's urging governors to do it at the state level. It's great. Get people out of jail that shouldn't be in jail. But at the same time, we need Schedule 3. I hope that they're not trying to do these little steps towards the cannabis crowd and the cannabis conversation nationally, and then they just dangle at Schedule 3 like a carrot out there. But this is good. I mean, anytime Joe's letting people out of jail and people are actually going to go home after they're sitting there on minor cannabis offenses, which I firmly don't agree with at all.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good. The odd thing is the timing of this, and the MJ Biz reporter last night spouting off saying that he heard from sources that Schedule 3 is imminent by year's end. That kind of made me think. I still don't think it's coming towards year's end, but the timing is a little bit uncanny for both of these things for this to happen today, and hearing that last night.
So that would piggyback on Dan Aaron's, what he was saying that was imminent in November when we had him on the show last month, right? I find that kind of hard to believe because why do it now? I mean, it's the 22nd. People are tuning out for the holidays. New Year's is coming up. It doesn't seem like it would be an ideal time, but yeah.
To be completely honest, as popular as a subject matter is as cannabis, you just nailed it on the head. People will be checked out. The ones that he doesn't want to hear about it probably will be tuned out. They just slide it through, they get it done, and we all celebrate. Everybody else celebrates that's for it. And I mean, part of the naysayers and part of the crowd that's against it, maybe they are checked out and they don't really notice what's going on. But
that's the
odd
majority
timing.
of the country, though. That's the only thing that,
I mean, you
most
still got
people are actually
30%. You still got 30 some odd percent that are against it. So I mean, it's a decent number.
right.
So, bottom of the ninth, and you just throw that curveball before we log off for the holiday season.
I don't think it's coming. I maintain my position. It's coming in Q1 of 2024. I've said that. I'll say that. I'll stand by it. I'm just saying that if you want to get all tinfoil hat on it, the fact that last night they were saying that there's rumors and people are talking about Schedule 3 being imminent, and now Biden comes out this morning and does this, the timing is just uncanny. That's it. Read into it as you will.
Yeah. John Verville, so it doesn't rock the boat. Exactly. He might be thinking the same thing as you. So much green today. I haven't gotten a chance to look at the markets and how they're performing. They doing well so far?
Yeah, it's ripping. Of course, the only stocks that are down are Consortium and Ianthus. Everything else is up. Canopy's cranking today.
Yeah.
Tilray's up. Air's up. TerrAscend's doing well. Everything's green on my screen right now.
TerrAscend. Very excited for Jason to get on today, writes Drew Dinkins. And with that, let's welcome in Mr. Wild. Happy holidays. How you doing?
Happy holidays. What's going on?
What's going on with you?
What's going on with me? Just finishing up, doing some stuff I got to do before the end of the year. We're in the process of, still moving a lot of stuff around here in my house. So it's a little bit of like a construction zone, but nice to see you guys.
Yeah.
Sorry it took me a while to get on.
All good. You made the official move from New York down to Florida. Am I understand that correctly?
That is correct. Yes, we moved in August. My daughter started ninth grade down here, so we're probably.
How's she liking it? She like Florida life?
She loves it. She loves it. That was a big thing we were worried about, just in terms of her acclimating to a new school and all that, and it's been great.
And I assume just by the reports, it says a lot of New Yorkers. You got a lot of New Yorker neighbors down there with so many people from the Upper East Side in the country moving down to Florida. You seeing a lot of that down there?
I mean, there's definitely a lot of New Yorkers down here, but my neighbors, actually, somebody just moved into the house next door to me. He's from Toronto, and he's actually invested in some of the cannabis names, including he's a big investor in Toronto. So small world, for sure. Not too many people from New York on my block, but they're building some new houses.
Interesting.
They're probably coming in.
Well, listen, wanted to have you on. I know we want to briefly talk about just the year that was had and what we can anticipate coming up in 2024. But you had an interesting trip. Was it last week you were in Germany?
Yeah.
How was that?
Germany was great. I mean, we went for, a lot of people thought we were going over to find companies to buy or invest in or something like that. But we were there to find investors, mainly institutional investors. So we had this company that set us up with some meetings, and I would say went better than expected. We had 3 lunch. We were in Munich, Frankfurt, and Berlin. Each one had a lunch with at least 25 or 30 people.
Wow.
That attended that. And then we also did several other meetings. Figure we probably met with another 10 or 12 people, or 10 or 12 funds other than that. And the feedback was excellent. The main question that came up in several of the meetings was, if everything is the way that you guys say it is, in terms of all the potential, in terms of like what you've done as a company and all the improvements you've made and all of that, and then what we've got going forward, and just overall what the industry potentially has going forward with potential rescheduling or some other stuff.
Yeah.
They saying their question is like, why is your stock still on its ass, essentially, right near the lows, and I think if that's the question, then that means they don't really have anything else to blow any holes in our story. It makes me think there are a lot of people that they are afraid to go against what the momentum is, or there's certainly not a lot of momentum to the upside. There hasn't been in this sector for a while, but it makes me think that the buyers are higher, because a lot of them, once it's confirmed to a price action, I think a lot of them will will jump in. But the main answer I gave the people was, well, the whole sort of the voting machine and the weighing machine, and how now we feel like we're in really good shape from the weighing machine perspective. And also, like, I wouldn't be buying back stock if I didn't think that the stock was going up. So I think
Good point.
Did you get to see any of the facets? Did you get to see any of the facets of like the boots on the ground, like the cannabis companies and stuff that's going on in Germany right now, or it was kind of just business only at the TerrAscend meetings and that was it?
Yeah, it was like investor relations type stuff only, because we were there for like 4 days. Most of our time was on trains going from one city to the next. Germany's supposed to be amazing with being organized and on time with their trains, but every train we were on, like the express was canceled. We had to take the local. I'm not exaggerating. We were on trains for probably like 25 hours between going through going 3 cities. But then me and Z stopped in Portugal, in Lisbon, on the way home.
Oh, nice.
Had dinner there. That was nice.
Did you get a chance to go down to Nazaré? This time of year, they have that 100-foot wave that kicks up.
No, we didn't get a chance. We weren't anywhere for more than like 12 hours, But
yeah, we were hopping around.
Yeah, we were hopping around. But the feedback was definitely overwhelmingly positive.
That's great.
I don't know if that means that anybody there has bought stock in the last few days since we met them. We did get at least 5 people came up and said that they were buying our stock or were going to buy our stock. So, and if the only pushback you get is like, why is your stock still acting the way it has based upon all the fundamentals that are playing out right now, like that means that usually when I'm wearing the investor hat, if that's the only sort of pushback I have, then that's pretty good.
What was their sentiment? Or like what was their sentiment or like level of sophistication for like understanding of the sector from like a fundamental perspective? Like, were they well versed in like what's going on in the cannabis sector here, or they were like, oh, this is an emerging opportunity, international market for them being in the United States and looking at it kind of more like a venture early stage model or investment?
I think that it varied. The only sort of the people that knew the space better, a lot of them had gotten burned in the Canadian names over the years.
Yeah.
So if anybody had any major knowledge of the industry, it was that, and maybe they were acted a little bit more skeptically. But when you go through and you talk about the numbers and what we're doing in each state and the margins and all of that, they can see clearly, like, those things were never the case in Canada, right? It was always like back then it was betting on the future, and it wasn't a white dream story.
And then you add in the fact of all the uncertainty in the U.S., a lot of these Canadian companies went over to Europe, and then you see stocks basically nosedive. So to Anthony's point, yes, what's the sentiment like for the industry, but how much knowledge do they have today about what the current U.S. market presents? Did they have much knowledge pertaining to it?
No, other than just seeing the numbers and the scale of our numbers and doing almost 90 million in revenue last quarter. And seeing the margins and all of that. But that's, we just talk about it, how, I talk about the reason we pivoted from Canada to the U.S. back in 2018 was because, the U.S. is the biggest market in practically every market. And it definitely is as it relates to cannabis. And that's the reason we moved from Canada to the U.S. because it was, 10 times the size or whatever the addressable market was. So I think they get all that, and they know that the U.S., people in Germany know that the U.S. is obviously a huge economy.
Yeah.
I think also they're perking up and taking a little bit more interest because they see what's coming to Germany at some point in the next, couple of years in terms of rec legalization.
Where is that? Did you have much feedback like pertaining to adult use in Germany, timeline wise? Was there any discussions pertaining to that? No.
The only feedback we got is that it's going to take a long time and that they've screwed it up.
Yeah, that's been the case for years now.
Welcome to Cannabis. I'm your host, Shad Dales. Right.
So, 2023 was a pretty exciting year for TerrAscend. Especially the second half of the year with everything that was going on. What do you think, or what in your opinion was probably one of the most important like catalysts or like company developments in 2023 for the overall business?
Yeah, for the business, I think a lot of it was even 22, like almost exactly a year ago when we when we announced the canopy equitization of their debt. That was, and we paid down some other debt last year. Like we had to refinance a few pieces of debt in the fourth quarter last year. So we were always looking at all of this as like, we felt like we were landing several, 747s in a row and had to land them in the exact sequence. And there wasn't necessarily a ton of room for error. And fortunately, we got all of those things done in those sequences, and also all the expense reductions between the interest reductions and the expense reductions we took in the second half of last year. That's what set us up to, start putting up, much better quarters with better margins. And then Maryland worked out. I like that slide too. Maryland worked out.
That's a good slide.
Bring it up, Mitch.
Yeah. Maryland worked out really couldn't have worked out better in terms of being able to get into those four. We entered look at that 23 slide. With 0 retail sales in Maryland, and we ended up at the 4 cap, and we think we're right up near the top from a market share perspective in Maryland. And the valuations were what we had been talking for a year plus or 2 years about how we were going to, if this pain continued, we were going to be able to find great acquisitions at really attractive prices, because we felt like the sellers had now finally gotten, religion or accepted the fact that, very good assets were not going to trade for the multiples that they traded for a few years ago, or what they should if they were in a different industry. So, I think that was huge. Maryland dropping that business in, leveraging the rest of our business. We run that out of our Northeast offices, being able to, reduce our operating expenses by $1 million from Q2 to Q3 while we grew revenue 24%. That's what flows through to those better margins. But I would say it was all. I'm not trying to be not give you a specific thing that was the most important thing. Probably the least important thing was maybe the TSX listing. I mean, we got it done, and and the volume is like 3 to 4x what it was. It was even up before the HHS news came out, which I think is probably a better way of looking at it. But it's in terms of you would have thought that based upon all of the fundamentals going as well as they would have, that the stock would have been able to perform a little bit better. But that's the whole that's the voting machine versus the weighing machine, and we feel better than we ever had from that perspective. And if we get some good news next year and we get rescheduling or something like that, and the taxes happen to go away, like I feel good now that we'll flip to being to having a PE ratio, because we'll have actual earnings. Yeah. And if the stock is still not reflecting what we think are the strong fundamentals, then we'll take a chunk of that, $12 million a quarter in extra cash flow and buy back stock. So I always feel better, like with our previous, big success we had with a private company where I was involved, sort of in a similar way with Arbor Pharmaceuticals. They were private, but we were just crushing it from a fundamental perspective that we knew that it needed to be. When you go from 0 revenues to doing $100 million in pre-tax net income per year, like we did there, like the valuation needs to go up significantly. The problem, we've always sort of looked at TerrAscend, and we joke internally that it's a private company that trades every day. Yeah. But my view is, like, once we're to the point, where we're have that sustainable free cash flow and maybe get some breaks from a regulatory or a scheduling point of view, then the stock price means even less, because you have so many options when you've got real cash flow. You could buy back stock. You could do. People have asked about take privates. Like, take privates don't work right now in the industry, because they require a lot of debt, and companies can't afford the high interest rates on those debt. Good debt. Point. But like, those are all the things that work once when you have a sustainable business that doesn't need anything. So that's why I feel good, and it feels a lot better than when our stock was $12 and maybe we were sort of failing upwards to a certain extent a couple of years ago, and when we made a lot of changes. Like, if you told me that, if you showed me all the improvement we made, and you said, what do you think the stock price is relative to here and here and here, I'd be shocked that it is where it is. But but thank God we don't need to raise equity or continue to fund a burn where the equity value is even more important.
Yeah. Not a bad year
right,
if the TSX listings was least important. But all in all, it's a pretty good year. Go ahead, Anthony. You want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, so I mean, we're sitting on a lot of, obviously the fundamentals are improving day by day for a lot of the businesses in the space. From a company perspective, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty still around the regulatory and just all of the other things that are going on. I mean, there's a lot of irons in the fire. The John Boys lawsuit, Safer, Schedule 3. Where do you think we're sitting this time next year?
It's funny you just asked that while I was moving to sit over another chair here. I figured the light in the background was bad.
Looks good.
Where do I think we are next year? I think there's obviously none of us have a crystal ball, or we've been wrong in looking at our crystal ball largely, at least from the federal perspective for the last several years. But I think there's a good chance that we've got rescheduling. I don't know exactly, like everybody else, I don't know exactly what that will mean, but I think there's a good chance that we have that, and therefore there's a good chance that we're not affected by 280E, and we can actually deduct our operating expenses. And then, like everything leads, this is again back more to the weighing machine, even if the market doesn't react, which I can't imagine that it wouldn't. But like if we have all this extra cash flow and all these other companies have all this extra cash flow, and then they want to go out and refinance their debt, they should be refinancing it at significantly lower rates than what they are now, because they're just less of a risk, right?
Yep.
And maybe we get the tailwind also of rates start to continue to come down a little bit, so that continues to be a tailwind where it's been a headwind for the industry over the last couple of years. So that's sort of where I think we're gonna be. There's gonna be a lot of companies, hopefully, that have actual PE ratios and can be invested in as regular growth at a reasonable price type, multiples. Maybe we get Peter Lynch back in our stock again. He was an investor in us. I remember he reached out to us. Must have been like 3 years ago or so, but we haven't heard from him in a while. But like obviously, if you got good, strong fundamentals and growth and profitability, then it just that's what makes stocks work. I mean, it's like that's all it takes.
Well said, that's for sure. I will say I ran into your good friend Boris Jordan last week. You guys listed the TSX 6 months ago. They did last week. His sentiment was the same thing, where it's like, look, we're not looking for, institutions to come in right away. That's not, the reality of what the industry is in right now. But this really sets the way for once we do get some sort of rescheduling in place in a number of months. It really sets up to have the conversations to be on a senior listing. But first off, I don't know how much dialogue that you have between you and Boris. I know that you guys have talked quite a bit at some of the Benzinga events, but what I guess it means, to see more and more companies, listing on senior exchanges.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just part of the maturity of the industry. I mean, there are higher standards to be on the TSX than there are to be on the CSC or trading on the pink sheets in the US. So I think we've got to continue to sort of professionalize these businesses. That's been a big impediment, I think, for this industry a little bit, is there's maybe the more people that are out on the fringe, a little bit more out of the fringe than in other industries. And we can't source. If I was starting an accounting firm, if I had enough money, I could go pick the best people from the best big firms. And here it's like all these companies are almost like expansion football teams, where everybody's new in the industry, they're new with each other. I think that's a big part of the benefit we've gotten from the last year, where all of our main top people have been working together and getting to know each other better and know whose strengths are what. But I think that the listings are just that progression. And obviously, if a path opens up to the US, I believe we can cross list from the TSX to the NASDAQ or the New York very quickly. I was told 30 to 60 days.
Oh, wow.
But you still got to get this. What we did with the listing, I think it opened up the pipes a lot more than they were open. It actually does look like a fixed custody. I haven't heard of anybody that can't custody these, our stock now that it's on the TSX, and it opened up. I know the MSOS ETF was able to buy direct as opposed to swaps, which I think is a big benefit. But you still got to get past whatever the firm's compliance policy is or what decision they want to make on that, and you got to get people excited about the story and about the stock, and that this is that it's not just because it's a cannabis company. This is a good growth company that's gonna make money over time, and that's what we're looking to do. We never thought it was just gonna make our stock go up a ton.
No,
just because of that extra volume. But the good news is the extra volume did come, and as we sort of saw on that Germany trip, there was not one person who said, I can't buy it in my account or anything like that. We didn't even know. We trade on the Frankfurt exchange as well, very small volume, but we didn't even know that. It's like somebody can get it listed without even the company, sort of applying and doing the more formal listing approach. But
the things you learn when you travel, right?
Yeah, for sure. But
so Jason,
overall, it's opening up. Now we just got to prove it to people and get people to want to buy the stocks.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ben.
I guess you're in a good position of being able to talk to growth hedge funds and value hedge funds, right? Like you can talk to sort of both tiers of institutional investors, not just one or the other.
Well, that's interesting. That's an interesting question. I've thought about it. I've said sort of in a similar way that the problem with a lot of these stocks over the last few years is the investors were growth investors. And now in most cases, they're like what many people have been hanging their hats on is that it's, that they're value investments. And it's just it's a different mindset. Growth people love growth. They don't love value. And in this case, it's mainly because most of them got, a lot of them got bagged and then they got, something that wasn't what they thought that they were buying. But yes, we definitely, the people we were meeting, it was across the spectrum of growth and value. And in a lot of cases, the growth guys thought that the multiple, when they were doing the math with us, they were surprised that the multiples or, EBITDA multiples and all the rest were as low as they were, which is good because that means that it will appeal to the value folks as well.
Last thing I'll ask, this has been actually asked a few times. I'll put you on the spot. Jason, what would you say to someone 30 years of age with 25,000 shares of TerrAscend? You're on the spot.
Patience. Or,
patience?
Not that I'm saying patience now, because I think we're getting closer to the turning point. But overall, like as an investor, or people have even asked me about my experience with TerrAscend, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's been, it's taken so much longer than expected, and wouldn't you have thought that we would have made a lot more money from a stock perspective and all of that?" And as a stock investor, and in business too, like I don't care how long it takes. Like, we're building this thing, like we're going to run it for the next 20 years or so. That's usually when somebody at some point, comes along and if they want to buy it, they know that they got to pay a fair price because we're built for the long term. And overall, like, it's the timing as a stock picker. I've never actually been very great on timing, but as long as you're right and you're not using options or leverage with, margin or anything like that, as long as you're right, your timing doesn't need to be right and you can make a ton of money. So that's what I sort of tell people is just, give it time and size it correctly. And we're going to do, not only is we've done well from the weighing machine perspective, but, the stocks always follow eventually what's going on fundamentally in the company.
Yeah. Well said. Last time we saw you was 3 weeks ago in Vegas and at the Canaccord event. Spoke to Ziad earlier this week, and I guess you guys went to some karaoke bar in the middle of was it Chinatown in Vegas?
Something like that.
I heard that Tim Seymour has quite the voice. He stole the show from what I heard.
Oh my God. And he's like such a ham, like throwing himself all over the place and practically doing splits and all of that. And, going up to different women and like, singing like he's serenading to them. I mean, he's the ham. It was, it's entertaining.
If Tim's listening to this right now, I apologize that we basically showed another side, but yeah, I heard he's a hell of a singer and I heard Ziad's not bad either, but anyways, good to see you guys in Vegas. Listen, congrats on the 2023 year. Looking forward to 2024, and happy holidays to you and the family.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for all your support over the course of the year.
Happy holidays.
And thank you. Thank you. You
All
too. Bye, guys.
All right. Thanks, Jason. All right. That was good. Drew, I hope you got a good response from that. I wanted to get that question out, and you threw it a couple times, but that was a legit question. But anyways, it was good that you brought up the fact of some of these Canadian shells. Like he's now TerrAscend, Canadian shell, now working in the U.S. market, to say the least. But that was kind of the segue. Canadian companies then pivoted into Europe. There was really no business model in play, but good to see that there was that amount of people showing up to a lot of these sort of events that they were putting on, but sound like overall it was positive overseas for them. I think you're on mute, Anthony.
Sorry, my dogs were barking. I was being proactive.
No,
I was saying that's how they might have stumbled into the Germany listing, is the shell paper and the shell stock that TerrAscend became probably was listed on there at some point in time.
Yeah. Daniel K, appreciate that. Thank you, Jason. We'll reach out to him, let you know what you said. Thanks. Now time for our second segment. We're going freestyle here today, and it is time to bring on one of our viewer winners here on YouTube. He's a regular. Goes by the handle name El Guap Tron 4000. Guap, it is time to bring you on. Happy holidays. A face to the name. Look at those shades. Great to finally put a face to the name. How are you?
Greetings, Earthlings. I just want to start off by showing gratitude to the whole team here.
Nice.
You guys give us great content week after week. It's really appreciated.
Well, I appreciate that. So how long you been following us? I guess how long you been following the space, for that matter?
It's been 3 solid years. Made money on the way up. Tried not to lose it on the way down. Been following you guys a while. I think you guys are world class in the space. Obviously, this is the best produced show. I feel like I'm having a surreal I'm on ESPN moment. Guys, I made it.
Well, that actually makes us feel pretty good. But yeah, look at all these people reach out. The Guap ETW 3006 writes. John Verville writing. But yeah, I appreciate you logging on here today with us. But you probably heard some of the podcasts that we talked to Jason Wild and some of the things that happened in 2023. But for you, what are you looking at as far as coming into the new year as an investor? Like, what's important to you that you want to learn more of, and what you're highly anticipating besides the obvious, which is rescheduling?
Yeah, I fully prepped. I'm gonna piss a few people off with my first prediction and say we get the trifecta. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and get Schedule 3 next week. DA says next week. We're in, right? I'm gonna just go on the record. It could be next month, guys. It could be 4/4/20. Everyone can speculate and guess, but you're all guessing. I'm gonna guess next week.
Next week.
DA says, yeah, especially with this the news dropping today.
Mitch, add some sound effects, man. You got to add to that what Guap's doing, brother.
Everything, yeah. Where's the Jamaican air horn? Bam, bam, bam. Like next week, guys. I mean, because this is all coordinated at the DC level. Just think like a PR company, right? Like how would you roll it out to the public? You boom, boom, boom. Dominate the headlines over Christmas. No one should be in prison for a plant. That was huge news today. I don't care about your stock, guys. Huge news for all the real heads. And it means a lot to me personally. So
good.
With that, I will say we're gonna get safer and hope later this year. I just want to piss off Anthony with that. We're gonna get it in 24. The pressure is gonna be too much. We're gonna get the AG memo, so we're gonna hit the trifecta. And as a result, I mean, yes, okay, so it's gonna take a bit for the comment period and for it to become a law. I'm not stupid. I don't think everything 280 goes away next week. But yeah, I think we're gonna get it, guys. Three for 3.
All right.
So who's your favorite company in the space? Obviously we talk about a lot.
That goes to my prediction number 2, which is I believe that the money wave is going to flow to the top operators, and I'll leave the air low float poppers to Anthony, right? I'm not that kind of investor. So he can play that and, check his RSI and his MACD and his moving averages.
Oh, I'm not checking
anything.
I'm not checking anything but the price. I can assure you that.
Yeah, he just
That's
price
all.
levels. Whatever you got
Yeah.
TA magicians go off of, you can continue to do that. That's fine. I think it's going to find the top operators. And for me, best in class, Green Thumb, right? I'm not the only one saying it.
Yeah.
I have a position in TerrAscend too. Oh, look, I'm pumping my own book right now, guys. Okay, like full disclosure. Green Thumb, best in class. I don't think we have to go into the reasons why. I think they're set to spend a ton of money on OpEx. They've got the cash flow going. I think they're a long-term winner. TerrAscend, look, Jason Wild was just on. I'm a fan. I like people talk about the jockey. I like the skipper. I like all the sailing metaphors. The guy's a hell of a captain, and he's got a guy in Ziad who's got connections to the pharma industry. So, in 2 years when we check back, Green Thumb's going to be tied up with some alcohol M&A, and TerrAscend's going to be acquired by Big Pharma. I mean, that's 2, 3, 4 years out, but that's how I see it. And yeah, I got to give some love to my favorite High Tide, HITI. I think they're an undercovered story. I think they're doing things way differently.
Retail,
they've got all sorts of revenue streams going, and I just think they're going to be a monster player in the middle game and end game of this chess game.
Huh. Interesting stuff. Where are you based out of?
I'm in the mountains, Blue Ridge Mountains. So Appalachia, half the time. Half the time I'm back in society where my daughter goes to school. Got some land in Virginia.
Nice.
That's about all I can say.
There you go.
Where do you get those memes on X, El Guapo? Because I mean, the memes on X are legendary. I want to know where you get these graphics and where do you find this stuff?
Stonks. I don't know what these I'm not in charge of these sound effects, guys. I don't know what Mitch is doing back there. Where do I find animated?
He's doing the Jim Cramer on the soundboard.
Mitch has got an early start. Mitch has got an early start of the holiday season. We gave him.
We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Exactly. I mean, memes. Animated GIFs. I mean, I just hit search and try to find something that makes me laugh. I figure it'll make everyone else laugh too.
Good stuff.
One more prediction.
Yeah.
I also got I rewrote "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" for the cannabis space. If you want me to recite a poem,
let's hear it. I want to hear it.
All right. One more prediction though. Okay.
All right. You want me to introduce you?
Introduce me.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the one, the only, El Guapotron 4000. Over to you, Guap.
Okay. Yes. So a poem. Let me bring it up here, guys. Hang on. Just some AV. All right. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the place not a creature was stirring, not even Nancy Mace. Everyone's portfolios were constructed with care in the hopes that St. Schumer soon would be there. The stoners were all nestled, all snug in their beds, with visions of Thomas Grizzle dancing in their heads. Ronnie Ferrari in his SF90 Spider in the trap had just settled down for a long weed nap. When out on the field there arose such a shatter, I didn't want to get out of bed to roll one fatter. So right to Twitter I flew with a flash, Nats Furt, Marijuana Moment, Todd Harrison and the Who hash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow, righteous. DEA Schedule 3, let's fucking grow.
Ooh, I like that,
good.
brother.
Oh, that's good, man.
That
How long
was
did
really
you
good.
make that?
Yeah, that's just like 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
It's a freestyle.
That's good.
Man, it's
Yeah,
lyrical.
off the top, right? Yeah.
So personal question: what flower concentrate?
Oh, for me, I was a flower guy for decades. but I'm tinctures now. I
Really?
think, yeah, I think, yeah, because you get the full plant. And I really believe in that. I don't want any distillate in this system. I want the whole
No.
thing. And I don't, I've read tons of studies about, is the smoke hurting your lungs? Is it not? And,
Yeah.
it's not as much as people think. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. So for me, tinctures are great because no smell. You feel the whole plant. It lasts for hours. It's that low body buzz that edibles make you feel as well. I just think it's just straight concentrate. Dabs, I messed around with those a few times, guys. I felt like I was playing soccer underwater. I mean, I was very creative, but slow. Couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
And you said you're a flower guy for decades. You said you're a flower guy for decades. Did you?
Yes.
So were you smoking cannabis at like 10 years old? I don't know how old you are now, but you said decades.
I am 420 years old. I'm a cyborg from the future. Everyone knows that. No, I'm 42 years old. So decades, I mean 2 decades.
Are you married or happy?
42, eh?
You guys are getting into personal questions. I'm on my second marriage, guys. Yes, I'm very happy.
Too funny. Well, listen, this has been incredible. Look at the crowd reaction we got here.
Welcome to come on anytime. I got a third prediction if you want me to give it to you.
Let's do it.
This is a spicy one. Spicy one. I don't think people are talking about this one.
Okay.
The Farm Bill. Okay. They made in 2018, they were trying to do the right thing, bring back cannabis as a crop. It has massive applications in the textile industry, in the building industry. I'm building a hemp block sound studio right now. Great insulating qualities, great for sound, heat resistant, termite resistant. I mean, there's a lot of things to like about building with hemp and weaving materials with hemp. There's a ton. I don't have to go into it. But, in trying to bring that industry back, the government inadvertently created a whole new industry, the hemp-derived market. And I've railed on this on Twitter repeatedly to say, I respect the ingenuity that it took to come up with a D8, an HHC, a THC 0, et cetera, et cetera. But I do not think the government really wanted to have, say, in a prohibitionist state that doesn't have legal cannabis, to have these products available to the public without any sort of safety regulation taxes going on. I don't think that was their intention at all. And it's flourished. It's the size of the legal industry by some standards, or by some measures. So when the new Farm Bill comes out, and I don't want to speculate when, right? Because they got to extend it. They're probably going to kick the can down the road. This is the government after all. They're going to extend the deadline, and then they're going to come out with the new draft. And when that new language hits, some people have said, I brought you into this world, son, and I can take you out. I mean, that's true. And so where does all that business go? And to me, it's back to my friends in the traditional market. And it's right into those dispensaries, and hopefully it becomes something that pushes states to legalize. That's kind of where I'm at. Because there's nothing good about letting kids 18 years old do THC 0 dab pens all day in a high school bathroom. It's just numbing them out. I've
always said that the biggest threat to the sector that we all know, the legal market, is the derivative market, because we're one headline away from an 18-year-old doing something insanely stupid, high as a kite on Delta 8, THC 0, HHC, one of these derivatives, and the headline's going to read, teen does X on cannabis. And there is no line of delineation between a derivative and the legal market, and it's going to come down on us with full force.
It's like the pilot on
if that were to
happen. Like the pilot on shrooms or Matthew Perry and ketamine. It's very misleading.
But it's going to be worse than that, because all you're going to see is a high impact headline, and there's going to be no education.
Ripping through schools.
It's like when the vape pen stuff happened with Juul,
Yeah.
Everyone
that's a
was
good
like,
point.
"Oh my God, vape pens, vape pens, vape pens." All they heard were Juul in their minds and what was happening, and it was just a blanket statement. That's the threat that derivatives can happen to us, and I think Guap's completely right. The Farm Bill does get addressed in 2024,
Interesting.
and
And
we
they
do see
know
a
about this
lockdown.
loophole,
Yeah.
and they're gonna
Oh
squash it.
yeah, yeah. They
Guap,
can't. They just can't
For
figure out
sure.
what to do with it right
Guap,
now.
I got some good news from you. Tell Guap I bought him a sweater for his birthday. Henry Lopez did.
Someone got me a sweater. Oh, yes. Happy birthday. It's a sweater. Thank you. Yes. Three Amigos reference. Understood. Appreciate you.
Nice.
One more prediction. I'm gonna go way out for this one.
Let's go. Let's do it.
If you have time. AI. I know I've heard a lot about AI in the media. It was the hottest two letters in all of Stockland to start the year. But the way it affects cannabis, I think, everyone talks about ChatGPT, but real AI is out there, guys. I've work in marketing. I have my own consultancy. I worked with a client, Adaviv, ADAVIV.com. Money Mitch, put it on the screen. Free plug there. And they're great. 3 absolute genius MIT grads came up with a robot that walks the grow, indoor grows only.
Oh yeah.
And scouts the crops, looking for nutrient deficiencies, pests, catches them early. So yeah, Guapatron's all about replacing humans with robots that do their jobs better. That's exactly what they created, and they got pilot programs running in some top MSOs that you've heard of.
Wow.
And that means, if you have a large indoor grow, picture like a glass house situation, you don't have to pay a team of people to walk around with clipboards and catch problems late. So your crop losses go down, your yields go up, your efficiency goes up. A lot to like about that. And when Schedule 3 makes 280 goes away, I think more of these MSOs will have a budget for that sort of thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've seen similar stuff that actually they install tracks with a camera that tracks the entire room, and through machine learning and computer vision, they're literally taking pictures of the plants in real time and then scanning them and diagnosing any problems, pests, mildew.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, and this is going to be a big trend.
This is controlled environment agriculture. Okay,
Correct.
I'm not one of these cannabis is a commodity guys. No, I believe a lot of care and craft goes into the sourcing of the genetics, the grow itself, also the ignored processing that happens after curing process, everything. Oh, look, one of our competitors. Boo. No, Adaviv.com, boys. But I just feel like so much. I'm not one of these. It's just a commodity. It's just tomatoes.
No, it's not.
But at the same time, it is controlled environment agriculture, and that is something that has been worked on for decades.
Yeah.
So I know we're all special, and my mommy told me I was special too. But cannabis is going to start adopting some of these same technologies.
So if John Connor is listening to this podcast, we should tell him to embrace AI. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, he's gone back in time. He's invested in some of these companies and made his way to the future and converted it all to Bitcoin, I'm sure.
This has been amazing.
Yeah.
This has been amazing. All right, let's go to the judges' scorecard.
How'd I do on my debut, boys?
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Benjamin A. Smith and Anthony Varrell have called a stop to this fight at 3:06 p.m. Eastern Time, declaring the winner and still reigning, defending, undisputed smoking champion in the entire world, El Guapo. Try 4,000.
I don't know what's gotten into Shat. He's just getting over COVID like me, and he's just feeling it. But yeah, it's been awesome. It absolutely tickled me to when you guys asked me to come on. I'd love to do it again sometime.
We are going to have you on. This is like, how Barstool started branch out into other personalities.
Sure.
We got something here. Let us know what you think.
I appreciate that. I'd love to come back on and be a lot weirder next time. I kept it pretty professional.
We have some good little ideas that we want to do outside of this show. Anthony and I already knows we were probably talking about here. I think we might have found a host. But anyway.
All right.
Listen, good stuff. Happy holidays to you and the fam. And please keep in touch. Continue to watch.
Yes.
Love the shades. And
Yes.
we'll probably have you back on early January because I think based on the feedback here today, I think everyone's a big fan.
All right.
Yeah, this is great. And he's gone.
And he's gone.
Back into the ether.
That guy understands showbiz.
I know how to pick. I know how to pick him.
Yeah, you picked a good one, brother. You picked a great one. All right, gents, forget the daily movers, forget the recaps. I think that's a great information. Listen, I want to wish both you guys Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, enjoy the holiday season. We will be back on Wednesday, January the 3rd. If there's any big news, which who knows, if there is rescheduling, if there is a curveball thrown, we will jump on. Not on a Wednesday or a Friday. We will jump on right away. We'll give you the alerts. So make sure you tap on that bell for all notifications, and we'll keep you up to date and try to source out some good information and contacts within our network to bring you all the news. Because here at TDR, as Ben says, we set the narrative, right?
Exactly.
Mitch, happy holidays to you as well, my friend. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. And if you want to learn more about the emerging industries that we cover, then leave a comment below and let us know who you want us to interview, the questions you want asked, and the information that you want to learn. We want to hear from you. As usual, click on that bell for all notifications to get the latest information. Share this video with your network, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we would not be here without